Yeah, love that. Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon. Got it. They're the same, right? Ooh. Yeah. All right. All right. So an odd function, today you're going to learn about even and odd functions and how to determine if they're even and they're odd. I have to admit, I don't really use the fact that functions are even and odd really at all until I get to certain realms of calculus. And I don't even refer to them as even and odd. I just kind of put it in my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, I can now graph it like that. But these do come up in the ACT, and also these are on the AP Calc exam. So are these relevant to you in the future? Yes. Odd functions are symmetrical over the origin. Here's an example of an odd function. Y is equal to x to the third. And that graph looks like this. And you can tell that if you were to rotate it 180 degrees, clockwise or counterclockwise, you would get the same graph, correct? And that's what means to be symmetrical about the origin. An even function is symmetrical about the y-axis. So an example is y is equal to x squared. Oops. So if you were to turn it 180 degrees about the y-axis, you would get the same shape. Now, there's two things that are important here. Number one, if you have a polynomial, um, it's easy to tell which ones are even and which ones are odd. How can you tell which one's even and which one's odd? Without looking at the graph, how can you tell? Yeah, the power. Yeah, just look at the power. Is it even or is it odd? That's that's I would say the primary way in which people use this deal. However, we do have to do a test to show that they're even or odd. And the test for odd functions, you plug in a negative x and you get out the same function, but it's opposite. It's negative in value. And to test if it's an even function, you plug in negative x and you get out the original function. So there will come a time this year where in calculus we'll be graphing these. We'll actually be finding three-dimensional volume of graphs that are rotated about the x-axis or y-axis. And we'll be cutting shapes, and it'll be all sorts of cool, crazy stuff. And I'll refer to them as being even or odd functions to help us graph it. Outside of that, we don't do too much with it. But these are the three examples that you would have to be able to do on your test. And instead of a plus one, we're going to have a plus x there. And we need to determine if the following functions are odd, even, or neither. And you need to show it by doing the appropriate test. So by looking at the powers, do you think that this is even, odd, or neither? Odd, because you have a power of 3 and of 1. So we would think that it's odd. Let's show that it's odd. We plug in negative x, and we get the quantity negative x to the third minus 4 times negative x. With me? What is negative x to the third power? Negative x to the third. Because a negative times a negative times a negative is a negative. Then negative 4 times negative x. So is that the same as my original function? No, it's not. So it's not even. How about if we factor out a negative 1? What do I get if I factor out a negative 1? Is that the same as our original? So watch this. So that is negative, and that is my original, which is f of x. Right? So f of negative x gave me negative f of x. This is f of x. Yep. There's a few more aha moments that were happening in third hour. I don't see the light bulb going on. So we'll try one more. This is f of x. So instead of writing x to the third minus 4x, I can write just f of x. So f of negative x is negative f of x. Okay. B. Okay, now it went off. Great, got it. Okay, f of x is equal to negative x squared plus 10. You tell me, is it even, odd, or neither? Are you confident about that? You sure it's not? Sure it's not neither? Why? Squared, but what about the 10? Why is it even? 10 is even, but what's the power on 10? 1 is odd. What's the power of the variable? It's 10x to the 0. So this is negative x squared plus 10x to the 0. And so 2 and 0 are counted as even numbers, so this will come out even. But that's why. Not because 10 is even, but because the power attached to x is even. So we try. F of negative x is negative times negative quantity x squared plus 10. It looks like I have two negatives, but really, by the time you square it, how many negatives do you have? 1, and then 2 for multiplying together, and then a third, right? We have a negative x times a negative x times a negative 1. So is it going to be a positive x squared or a negative x squared? Negative x squared. And then plus 10 is just the same. Is this same as my original? So I can replace that with f of x. So therefore, f of negative x became f of x. Your answer is this is even. I'm sorry, this is odd. This is even. And the entire thing is your answer. You showed it. If you don't list all this on your test, you won't be given credit. You can't just say even or odd. You must show the work. Yes, Claire. The tests are the same. For both of them, you plug in a negative x. It's what you come out with that determines whether it's even or odd. Okay, and then the last one. What are the exponents? 4, 2, and 1. So do you think it'll be even, odd, or neither? Yep, it'll be neither because you do have an odd exponent paired with an even exponent. But let's show that. So f, not calculus. F of negative x is equal to negative x quantity to the fourth minus negative x squared plus negative x. What is negative x raised to the fourth power? Positive x to the fourth. Will it be a minus x squared or a plus x squared? Minus x squared. Will it be a minus x or a plus x? Minus x. Is that the same as what we started with? It's close, isn't it? This minus up there is a plus. So maybe if we factor out a negative 1, I'll get a negative x to the fourth plus x squared plus x. Is that the same as when we started? No. So because it doesn't end up working out, we would say neither in that situation. And that's it. Okay. Good to go? So your assignment, you have a very short assignment. We just did 3 problems in class. You have 6 in your assignment. You do not need to graph them. Just test them for even or for odd or neither. And then you can start working on your study guide. I'm almost done with the answer key for the study guide. You will get a homework cover sheet tomorrow. And use your time wisely. Raise your hand if you have some homework to do tonight. Okay. You need to make sure that you get on top of your stuff and get going, folks, because yeah. Remember, how many college credits are you getting this year for math? 7. You're getting 7. Okay, so we need to put in the work. Thursday.